Switching topics, it's the most used social media app for teens and the most confusing one for parents. In today's Tech Check, a parent's guide to Snapchat. Deseret News columnist Amy Iverson has a few pointers to help you understand enough to teach your kids how to use this app responsibly. I'm still confused. I am on Snapchat, mostly just to monitor my sister, my sisters. But it's interesting because as I follow the two different generational categories, right, there are adults who are using it professionally and personally. They're using it totally different than, say, my sister and her friends are.
Yeah, so if you're using it, great. My concern is if your kids want to use it, and should they, and when should you let them, because you need to help them learn to use it responsibly.
How would you define this app as far as its differences? How is it different than other social media apps?
Well, for a while, it was super different, right? Because it was the only app that you could post a picture to someone and it would disappear, right? It self-destructs in a certain amount of time. Now we have Instagram doing it, and so all my worries about Snapchat, they apply to almost all the apps now. So that used to be what was careful about it, but now my kids say what they like about it is you don't have to have the perfect picture like they feel like they do on Instagram. It's just more for fun.
More organic, more playful.
Yes, more real life.
And they're using it, right, if I'm right here, kids more as like text messages.
Yeah, it's like a quick thing when you're just being goofy. They say that's how they like to use it.
You've prepared a list of how-tos for us, things we should know. First, the messages don't ever really disappear. We've got to communicate that point to our kids.
Yeah, kids have to realize, well, they should know nothing on the internet ever disappears. So just because it disappears from your friend's phone doesn't mean someone else didn't take a picture of it, doesn't mean they didn't take a screenshot. Snapchat gives them the ability to buy additional views. And then there's apps out there now where you can download an app and it will save every snap that comes to your phone.
Are you seeing or are you hearing about a lot of inappropriate content being swapped and shared on Snapchat?
Well, initially that was the huge concern. And when you look at the numbers, the University of Washington just did a big study on this. 60% of kids said, yeah, we're just using it to be goofy. Great. 25% of kids admitted they had sent sensitive material over Snapchat. 25% is a big number to me. If you have 4 kids, that's one of your kids, right? And so they're not just sending it for goofy, the majority are, but a big chunk are sending inappropriate things.
So there's the texting back and forth, the snapping back and forth. There's also the Snapchat stories, and you think it's important to let people know those stories cannot be made private.
Right, so on Snapchat, of course, if you're only snapping to certain people, that's great, but your story is available to everyone in the world for 24 hours. So kids should know that that's not one of those things that's gonna go away quickly. It's there for 24 hours. People can look at it as often as they like.
And there's a discover feature that you say parents need to be hyper aware of.
Yeah, because maybe they're not following weird places that they might get weird stuff, but on Discover, it's news places. But there's also like Cosmos on there, or Vice. These websites that may have stuff, you know what's on the cover of Cosmo, right? So is that something you want your 13-year-old clicking on Cosmo to see what they're snapping, because that will be available to them. And again, just reiterating, it's talking about using it responsibly. That's one of those things you have to talk to them about. Hey, don't go and Discover and just click around on these magazines.
Just surf around. What's a good age, Amy, for Snapchat? Would you recommend?
So Common Sense Media, which I cite a lot because I love them, they look at all apps, they recommend 16. That is what I recommend. My children have fought me for years about this. They're 15 and I'm about to relent when they're 16. A big part of that too is Instagram putting this in too. But I feel like let them do the easier apps that you can monitor a little better when they first get into social media. And now that maybe they're using it responsibly, this is their reward.
All right, helpful information. This is you'll find more information as part of your column this week on the Deseret News.
Yeah, deseretnews.com/Amy.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate it.